Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 10th of November, 2021. Just ran upstairs to get my microphone. It's super windy outside, and you all probably can't hear that, but I'm going to see if the audio changes when I start this. Okay, I think we are set up. I hope you're all well. Thanks for all your happy comments and good mornings, and welcome everyone. I am in Fort Collins, Colorado. If you have not seen Change the Shed before, this is my studio in the basement of the house I'm living in here at the moment. Basement studios are not all bad. There's a pretty big window, so it's cool down here in the summer, which is really great. Welcome everybody from New York City and Kansas, and Nancy's here from Scotland, where the climate summit is taking place. That's exciting, Nancy. I was just reading an article in the paper that was a little bit depressing about that. So let's hope that something still happens for the rest of that summit. Anyway, I'm happy that it's up there in Scotland, and may they make some good decisions. The UK and Vermont and Ohio and Bainbridge. Tornado warning. Barbara, that does seem very odd I always think there's never tornadoes in the western United States, but we've had tornadoes in Fort Collins, not since I've been here. They've been, on the other side of the interstate, but you never know, right? The climate is weird these days. So I am, I think, Marilyn, I missed a thing about the scarf, but if this is what you're asking, I don't know what the weave structure is. I got this from Michelle, of Threefold Designs. I'm blanking on her last name. Gosh, that's horrible. She's an amazing tapestry weaver. You should look her up. Threefold Designs. Michelle Threefold, I think might be her. Someone will put it in the thing. Yeah, she's a great weaver. She does these beautiful scarves, which I bought some for family members for the holidays, and I really wanted one. So I saw this one on her website recently, and it's really pretty. Anyway, talented weaver, and her tapestries are amazing. I recommend going to see her website to look at her tapestries. They're really fun and innovative, and she's won a lot of awards for them. She's a really talented weaver in many ways. So, hello, Ghislaine from Abusan and Carolyn from the UK. Thanks to all of you for coming over from Europe. Part of why I keep this at the time it is because it gives some of you a chance to actually attend live. So I hope that's a nice evening activity. Anyway, welcome. Yes, I had hoped to be weaving on that loom this morning, but I'm not quite there. The loom is warped, and you might be able to see that the balls of yarn that were being stored on it are gone, so that's good. It's ready to be woven on, so hopefully I will be getting this piece on the loom before you see me again, which will be November 24th, which is the day before Thanksgiving in the United States. I anticipate still being here on that day, so I will see you then if you're around. And if you're off on vacation with family, that's just fine. Yes, it's a super windy day in Colorado, so Cindy is mentioning that it's supposed to rain later. That'd be great. Who knows? So let me show you what I've been working on, and I wish you guys could show me what you have been working on. I'll switch the camera in a second, but here's the sample that you saw me do last time, maybe 2 times. This side is Faru bleach white mixed with silk, and the background of this side is Harrisville Kohler singles mixed with silk. Most of it, some of it is without the silk. Let me switch the camera and see if you can see it better. Okay, so let's see if this camera is going to do a lot of refocusing. Hopefully that will not be too annoying. This is the side with the Harrisville Kohler singles and the silk, and you know, it's hard to see. Wish you could see it in person. This is why we do samples though, so you can actually look at what it's going to look like. And here's the Faru with the, I know I'm still saying that wrong. I'm sorry you guys. You all teach me how to say it, and it's a Swedish pronunciation, and I apologize. This is the bleach white with the Treenway silk, which is unbleached, which is kind of a pretty thing. And then one of the things I was looking at was what yarn I'm using for the colors. And I know I haven't shown you the design of this piece really very well yet. I was going to have that done today, and I'm using my projector to blow it up, and had a lot of trouble yesterday getting the projector to do what I wanted it to do. So I need to find a larger wall to use the projector. I have not much space in the studio at all, and the projector was wigging out trying to keystone and all kinds of stuff, and I couldn't get it to be stable. Obviously you need it to be stable if you're going to draw a cartoon. And when it keeps changing sizes, it's not very helpful. Anyway, so I love the Faru also. I am going to use this bleach white. I don't know what it's going to look like in the long run. It's super white, and the Tapestry has a band of pretty intense color right across the middle. Big. Most of the Tapestry will have a lot of color in it, and then the white will be around the edges. So I don't think it will be as overwhelming as it might seem, but if it is, then I'll do another one with another color. So yeah, the silk gives a nice little sparkle. And then the other question, of course, was using this array yarn. So this is Gist's new Tapestry yarn, and I have never woven a piece, I don't think, that I didn't dye my own yarn. Not since I was in school in New Mexico and we were using Claskin's wool. I don't think I've done any tapestry, except for small ones. No big tapestry that I didn't dye my own yarn. So this is a departure for me. I'm going to use this array from Gist, and I'm using the Faru bleached white and the Treenway unbleached silk. And I actually am going to have to throw in some Weaver's Bazaar for some of the outlines because I don't have array doesn't have quite the colors I want for the accented outlines that I'm working on here. So I will probably use Weaver's Bazaar for that because it's similar in look to the array. And I thought I could also use Harrisville Kohler singles. I have tons of dyed. I wouldn't even have to dye anymore. So we'll see how that goes. But today what I'm working on is just making sure that the little outlines I'm doing, I wanted to try, this is a color sample. So this sample was both for color and form. I wanted to see what would happen with some of these outlines. And here I did, the other thing I was sampling here was a gradation. So there we go. I don't know if you can maybe not see this too well, but this is one step from here to here, 4 singles of the array. This color is, in case you want to know what it is, burgundy. This is burgundy 4 and this is burgundy 3, and there were 4 steps in the middle, 3 steps in the middle. And just to see whether that gradation would work, it's going to hang this way. And so I like this a lot better with the gradation going up and down versus this example, which is also the burgundy, where it's going side to side. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it this way, which means more hatching. It's easier to do color gradation when you do it this way than this way. The weaving is super simple when you do it that way, but it doesn't fit the way I need to weave the piece sideways. It doesn't fit. So anyway, that was one sample. This is the other sample. I think this is the last bit that I'm going to be doing. And then I'll be off on the big loom, which is super fun. Yeah, I also it's just weird for me to order so much yarn because usually my yarn comes in massive boxes from Harrisville of cones of undyed Harrisville Kohler singles. That's the only yarn that comes, that way for Tapestry because I dye it all. But I had to order the Faru bleached white and the Trinway silk and more of the array. So it's a whole new world, y'all. Marla says she got to go to 2 workshops over the weekend with Molly Elkind, and I don't know the other person, Chikai O'Brien. That's very cool. I think there was a conference in Kansas, maybe, right, Marla? Yeah, Barbara, that's a good thing to bring up. Barbara's talking about the texture of the yarn, and that's part of what I was looking at in the sample is what does it look like? Different yarns materials have different ways that they reflect light, and so they look different. And the array is much smoother than the Kohler singles that I usually use. It's actually a lot smoother than the Faru also. But it shows, because it's worsted spun, it does show little blips of where the strands aren't exactly even, which is fine. Actually, writing a blog post about that, if you're interested in that topic, that will be up in a couple weeks, I think. So thinking about the materials, so these 2 examples were done with Harrisville Kohler singles, and they look quite a bit different than you can even sort of see that the light is reflecting differently on these than the rest of the examples. So the materials you choose make a difference for what you want to reflect. This piece is about wildflowers, and so I liked the shiny worsted nature of the array yarn and the silk in there. So, oh yes, Audrey asked about the color cards for the array. I don't know. I've been told they're coming soon. If you go to Gist's site, you'll see how they do their color cards. They're really beautiful. I'm excited about the color cards, and I will be getting a set when they get them finished. But they're super labor intensive to make. So you'll be shocked at how expensive they are, but it's so... imagine having people sitting there winding yarn on cards to make actual color cards with yarn. That's what happens. Anyway, they'll be beautiful, but I don't know when they'll be here. I'm guessing in the next couple of months, Audrey, but if I hear that they're out, I'll let you know. Yeah, Marlene, it is a big investment in yarn. But hopefully it will be a good result. Yes, Marcia asked if I've thought about showing you how I dye my yarn. I do have a YouTube video about dyeing yarn. It's real crazy, but it shows you some of how I do it. Let's see. I'll make a note to put a link in the show notes. Yes. So that is, and I know the next question one of you is going to ask, when is that dye class coming? So that is in the works. I've actually shot a bunch of the dye class already, so I will be doing a class about that also, online class. Maybe someday an in-person class if I can find I know a couple places that you can teach dyeing, but it's the sort of thing that's, you can only have a small number of people, and you have to have a dye kitchen that accepts that, and it's a trickier thing to do. Let's look at these colors. What I'm doing here is I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Okay, so this is a little Merrick's Lanny loom, which I really like for sampling, actually. These were Harrisville Kohler colors, and you can see the difference in texture between those and this. So I'm just playing with these outlines a little bit here before I jump on the loom. And one of the things that I'm playing with is using complementary colors for the outlines instead of using black or something that's super neutral. If you use a complementary color, even if it's super dark, it can help accent the main color that you're outlining. So this yellow, I had a violet in there. You probably cannot see this, but I had a black with a violet on this line, and it's so thin, I'm actually going to weave another line a little bit thicker so I can see it. On the orange, I had a really dark blue-green with black. So I'd like to sample making the outlines, taking the black out. And I'm going to try with this color is Cayenne, one of my favorite colors that Array makes. It's really pretty. I'm going to use this with an outline of, so this Cayenne is a red violet to red, maybe a red. Let's see. Here's the darkest color, and it's fairly red. And so across the color wheel is a yellow-green, is the complement. So that's the part of the color wheel I'm going for. Let's see if we can. So I'm going to try to start with mix of this blue-green, and this is actually also a blue-green. This just has more blue in it than the other one, instead of using black. I should have gotten this ready. So just thinking about how many sequences I want, how long I need for the yarn. And yeah, the greens are still coming. So this tapestry, I didn't need any green at all, but Array is, they have two really beautiful greens. Actually, I should have pulled up a picture of them. One is like a forest green and one has a little bit of blue in it. They're both really pretty. I can't wait till they come. They have a lime green, so if you want like neon green, they have that already, but the greens should be here really soon. I'm excited about that. I'm just gonna try making this fatter. Let's go 4 strands of, this is Weaver's Bazaar 18-2, which is super thin, quite a lot thinner than the Array. Here's a strand of the Weaver's Bazaar. And if I knew off the top of my head the yardage, I would tell you, but I don't. I would say that the Weaver's Bazaar medium is close to the size of the Array. This is Weaver's Bazaar fine. I am going to do it the way I would do it in the Tapestry, which means I need a split weft outline. Can you see that? Okay. Oh, Marla, right. I think you even told me this. That I won't get her name right. Chaiki. I wish I could hear. I bet you could. I wish you could say it for me. Teaches Sayori. So that is a really. I've never taken a Sayori class, but I would love to. I think it would be really fun. Really sort of different conception of weaving, fabric weaving, just sort of freeform. Okay, so I put both of those in the same shed. This weft bundle is still thin for 8 ends per inch, so I can get away with that, I think. I'm going to make this line maybe even a little thicker than I will in the Tapestry because I want to see if I can actually get the visual effect that I want. And I'm not seeing it with the thinner lines, which is why we are sampling. Chiaiki. Chiaiki. Oh, that's not so hard. Thanks, Marla. A beautiful name. So when I dye my own yarn, everything is tagged. And a lot of this, the Array yarn is tagged also, but a lot of my Weaver's Bazaar yarn has lost their tags because they're for workshops. These actually do have tags though. So one of the things that I do when I'm sampling is use little paper tags and write what they are, what the yarn is, because especially if I'm going to use it in a tapestry. This is Sea Sky 6 is this little beautiful, I really like this color, turquoise, and this is Weaver's Bazaar U green. So I'll make a tag that's something like this, and maybe you can or can't read my handwriting. Sea Sky 6, U green, Weaver's Bazaar, 4 strands. Actually, I would usually go times 2, and 18 2, so I know which yarn I used. I will also usually leave the tails sticking out so that I know. So there's that. I'm actually going to do one more sequence of this. I won't make the outlines this fat in the actual tapestry, but I don't think it might. There's a thing that you don't know when you're doing a sample. Sometimes I'll do stuff just to see the color, and then I'll look at it and think, oh wow, that form is better, I should do it that way. So you never know. Playing around, sampling, it's all fun. I am just going, this is a habit. I don't tend to cut these Weaver's Bazaars off because they pop to the front. But I'm still splicing. Long habit. It will hold better, and I can cut them to about 1 inch and leave them if this were the actual tapestry. Okay. Let's do the split weft there. Also, talk about split weft in my warp and weft class a lot. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's where that is. I'm just going to leave these tails out. I could actually bring them back in another shed, just finish the sequence, but just trying to do a pigtail on the edge here. Sorry, you probably cannot see you cannot see through my hands. That's physics. Oh, I haven't said, Marilyn, how many strands of array am I using? I'm going to put that in right now. So I finished the split weft outline. I'm using 4 strands of array. This is 4 strands of this is the lightest one. And then I'm going to grade it into this. Probably not in this sample, but I might grade it a little bit. So here's the difference between, you might not be able to see this, but this was 3 strands. Is that gonna, there we go. 3 strands here and 4 strands here. And this was 4 strands. And this was 3 strands. And actually, the bead is a little bit more in the examples with the 4 strands. I'm definitely gonna go with the 4 strands for the big weaving, because let me tell you, it weaves a lot faster when your weft is fatter, and at 8 ends per inch, it works fine with this yarn. So I'm going with 4. If I was doing something small, actually all the examples in the Introduction to Tapestry Weaving class, that new online class I have, I used 3 strands of array, and it worked fine. For smaller things, it makes the lines more delicate. I don't have an example of that here, but when the weft bundle is fatter, it makes a thicker line. So if you're weaving something small, if your weft is a little bit thinner, it's a little more delicate. And when things are small, it's not as important that it weave quicker. When you're weaving a really big tapestry, you want to maximize your time if it doesn't affect the look of the piece. Can you cut spliced? Oh, no. Oh, Cheryl, I don't know. So you all know that have taken my classes that I do splicing. I cut them all off here. This was the Harrisville Kohler singles. When I splice, I just cut them off. This is actually the back of the piece. But you can't even tell here because the Kohler singles are so grabby and fuzzy that I just cut them off and they don't poke out. The array is definitely fuzzier than the Weaver's Bazaar. So I don't have an answer yet on cutting off the tails. I have cut, here's the back of this sample. I have cut some of the tails. So one of the things I need to do before I cut any tails on the actual tapestry is play with the sample. So what I'll do is mark them, cut some of them super short, leave some of them long, maybe a 1/4 inch, and leave some of them like a whole inch. And then actually give the sample a little, I'll steam it and I'll give it a little, rough it up a little bit to see if those ends pop out. And that will answer that question for me. I think they will stay put because this is fuzzy enough. There we go. This is fuzzy enough, but I don't have an actual answer for you there. It's a good question. Okay. Okay, that outline I already know is way too fat, but I really like the split weft thing there, which you can really see strongly against that white. It's really, let's see if I can make this focus. So see how smooth that is with the split weft with the white and the dark next to each other. I did the same thing with these two outlines, and they're quite smooth. Versus if you see down here, see how that's bumpy where the two colors met? There's no outline there. So that's the difference with the split weft outline. So I definitely don't like how fat that is, but I may be able to see what I'm looking for. And at the top of this color, I'm going to do a thin one. Like, I think I'll just do one sequence is what I'm planning in the tapestry. So I want to test that for sure. And then most of my questions will be answered. Let's see. And I can start weaving. It's about time, right? I'm really ready to be weaving on the big loom again. I miss it. Okay. If you shift the shed, it actually stays in place. So let's just do a gradation. I'm just going to go to the next color. So here I have these two are right next to each other in the gradation that Array has. And I'm going to do just one of the darker and 3 of the lighter. I'll put that in. So this piece, Barbara asked about what's the EPI and the warp. This is 8 ends per inch. Most of my large tapestries, actually I've done a lot of them at 10. So like the Emergence 5 tapestry, which is a little bit more complicated than some of my tapestries, was woven at 10 just to get smoother vertical curves. But most of the larger tapestries are woven at 8. Of course, it's faster. 8 is a lot faster weaving than 10. This one will be 8. It's pretty simple, the design. I thought about going to 6, but there are some interesting little vertical curves that I would like to be smoother than they would be at 6. So, plus this yarn is fairly thin. Like if I went to 6, I would probably have to use, I don't know, maybe even 8 strands of it, at least 6. And that starts to get fussy, in my opinion. So I would maybe want to use a fatter weft yarn. Unless I need all that color variation, and then you don't. You can make the bundle as big as you want. So the EPI is 8, and the warp I'm using is 12-9 cotton seine twine. I did get some of the seine twine that that Just Yarn is selling, which is from Brassard in Canada. The seine twine I use is from Bakens in Sweden. They're different. They're actually quite different. The Bakens seine twine is cabled, so it's actually twisted differently than the Brassard, but they act the same. So they're both good warps. I just prefer the smoother finish. Some people like a toothier finish in the warp. This warp is really smooth. Okay, so the other thing I was working on today is the order of these colors. So basically I'm going to do this strip a little bit wider. I'm just doing the gradation this way instead of horizontally because I already made that decision and I know what I'm going to do. And then I'll do a different stripe at the top here using possibly greens. This is a real yellow green, or possibly a green and a blue, just to compare that to what I did down here with the black. Okay, so the other thing that I'm working on is the order of these colors. And I did this. This is something I just pulled out of my hat this morning. I'm going to change this camera a little bit. See if you can see this. See my dirty table, which needs a little help. These are actually photographs. I realized after I did this that you all wouldn't have access to these photographs. These are photographs that are these are the ones Just has on their website. So they're professionally done, and they're actually quite close to. Let's see if this is the right color. Let me show you that's the burgundy. Here we go. This is the color I was just using. And how close is it? Photographs are always tough. This is supposed to be this, I think. Am I right? I had to write on the back what the colors are. Yeah, this is Cayenne 4. So even there you can see, let me hold it up. Could be my printer, could be my computer, could be any number of things. So when you order yarn, this is why the question about the color cards is really helpful, because actually having the yarn in your hands is amazing. I just got color cards for Appleton Crewel and Appleton Tapestry yarn, and it's actually really great to be able to see the yarn and what color it is in front of you. So my question with this, if this would focus, is, hold on, don't let this make you sick, is what order am I putting these colors in? And this is something, I won't get the answer of this today, but I wanted to use these colors as a way to play with it. So these are daffodil, because this is just an idea of playing with paper. I want a nice arrangement of the colors. There are basically 12 strips of different colors, and I want them to be the colors of Wildflowers. And hang on, sorry. photos that I took on the Colorado Trail of wildflower colors. But I want them obviously arranged in a pleasing manner. So I'm not sure what that's going to be. And I cut these out so that I could play with them and even put them. There's a cartoon on the wall right there that I can tape them up there. This is indigo, which is similar to a lot of these blue purples. It's a blue violet, and a lot of the colors on the trail were blue violet. So I probably will have 2 of those. So the idea is that I can start playing with, gosh, maybe I want a really dark indigo and a really light indigo. And the complement of that color of blue violet is yellow orange. So maybe I want to use the marigold next to that. Maybe I want another this is tangerine. There were actually some really cool flowers that looked like dandelions that were this marigold color that I saw all along the trail. And then this color was there were a few, this burgundy color is just one of my favorites. So I'll definitely have one of the larger colors in the middle be that. And I've also thought this is the, what's this called? Walnut. This walnut color might be a nice outline, or it might go into one of the flowers. So anyway, that's my idea for working with the different colors. And yeah, there's lots of ways to play with color. I had been playing with it with the yarn, and it wasn't fast enough. I need to see different options quickly. So that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow when I'm back in the studio. Yes, you're welcome, Barbara, for the warp stuff. The warp has an influence on what the weave looks like. So I usually use a warp that is pretty thin. So this is 12/9, and I often use 12/6. Most of my big tapestries are done with 12/6, which is even thinner. And the thinner the warp is, the flatter the surface of the tapestry. So yeah, if you want a bigger bead, so get some 12. 12/12 is actually a warp that works well at 8 ends per inch. It's twice the size of 12/6, and do a sample one with 12/6 and one with 12/12, and you'll see the difference or if you have 12/6, double it and see what it looks like, because the difference is quite astounding, and it might be exactly what you need for your tapestry to have that more prominent rib in the texture is the word I'm looking for. Gives you a different texture. I talk about a lot of that material stuff in the design solutions classes. Okay, cool. I probably missed some questions there, so I apologize if I missed anything y'all had a burning question about, but I'm sure you would have put it in again if I missed it. So I do have. I still have some of those book bundles if you want a good Christmas gift, or you want a signed copy of my book for yourself. I apologize to those of you overseas. I'm not, for the most part, sending them internationally. I just ran a test thing for someone in Canada. The book bundle to ship to Canada is $42, and the book is $35. So just buy the book from Amazon and in Canada, or your local bookstore, whoever is selling it in your country. And I really apologize that shipping has just gone through the roof. And I just have no control over that. If you want to pay astronomical shipping, I'm happy to send you a bundle. Please email me about that. But for the most part, I think people in the U.S. are going to be the ones who want it. Yeah, Nancy says postage to the UK is appalling from the U.S. It is appalling. That is a good word. And it's gotten worse. It's just... The things that I just sell a couple books, and the postage for me to send a book that weighs 1 pound, the whole box weighs 1 pound, to send that to the UK costs vastly more than the book costs. So it's really discouraging. And then sometimes there's customs on top of that. Anyway, if you're in the US and you're interested in the book bundle, it has both of my books and the Introduction to Tapestry Weaving class. And I have a few left, and they are on my website. I have a new class called Introduction to Tapestry Weaving, which most of you maybe don't need. Some of you might be interested. It's for beginners, and it's really fun, and it's short, and it's far less expensive than my other classes. So I'm hoping that some of you will find some time over the holidays to weave some tapestry. And let's see. Oh, my newsletter. I had made myself a list today of the things to mention. My newsletter is where I have information about new classes and what I'm doing and stuff. So sign up for that on the contact page on my website if you're interested. It also is mostly a link to the blog that I do every day. So I'm working on a blog post for this week about loom length. And then there's, I think I mentioned another one I'm working on. Surface of the tapestry and some other things like that. Thank you for hanging out with me, you all. It's fun to see you, and fingers crossed that in 2 weeks, this piece will be started on that loom. That's my Harrisville rug loom. I'm going to have to move the loom, was part of why I didn't get it done for today. Also, I'm going to have to move the loom to put the overhead camera mount over it, and that loom is very heavy, but I think it can be done. So we'll see if we can get the camera mount working, and we'll be great. Marilyn. Yes, I am. Marilyn is asking about retreats this year, and I am doing a few. COVID is, I just saw in the paper, more hospitalizations for COVID today than has ever happened in this county, which is appalling to me. However, fingers crossed, things will be better by next summer. I will be doing a retreat at the Mountain Center if I can get a date. They are super busy, but Marilyn, keep your fingers crossed. I want to do at least one retreat at the CSU Mountain campus, which is near Fort Collins, and I'm hoping for 2, but I don't know if they'll give me 2 weeks. And I'm also teaching at Red Alder, which is, registration is open. I don't know if my classes are full yet or not. It just opened, but last time they filled up really fast. But you could check. I'm teaching some fun things at Red Alder in February. So thank you all so much. I am totally rambling. I love you all. It's great that you're here. Thank you for coming. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Keep weaving. Use the hashtag changetheshed if you want to post some stuff on Instagram of what you're weaving. That's where I check for those. So it's fun to see everything that you're working on. Y'all are the best, and I'll see you later.